I've always enjoyed night drives. There's something calming about the way the world empties, leaving just you and the long stretch of asphalt, headlights carving through the darkness. But last night I learned that the dark can hide things far worse than loneliness. It started as an ordinary trip. I was driving back from my parents' house, a 3-hour journey through mostly empty highways and back roads. The night air was crisp, the radio played soft rock, and my coffee sat steaming in the cup holder. Everything was peaceful until I saw the hitchhiker. He stood on the side of the road, illuminated briefly by my high beams. He was tall, wearing a hoodie that cast a shadow over his face. His right hand was raised, thumb out. I don't usually pick up hitchhikers, but something about him seemed off. His stance was rigid, almost unnatural. I shivered and drove past, but as I glanced in the rearview mirror, he was gone. Just like that. My stomach twisted and I pressed down on the accelerator. Maybe I was imagining things. Long drives can do that to you. I focused on the road, shaking off the unease. The highway stretched ahead, empty and endless. 10 minutes later, I saw him again, the same hitchhiker. Same hoodie, same rigid stance, thumb still raised. My heart hammered. That was impossible. There were no cars, no turnoffs, nothing he could have used to get ahead of me. I sped past without looking. My hands tightened around the wheel, knuckles white. Something was very, very wrong. I kept driving, trying to convince myself it was just a trick of the night. But then I saw something worse. A few miles down, my headlights illuminated a figure in the middle of the road. It was him. I slammed the brakes, tires screeching. He stood directly in my path, head tilted slightly, like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. My breath hitched. My pulse roared in my ears. The hitchhiker took a step forward. I threw the car into reverse, heart racing. The moment I moved back, he started walking toward me, slow and deliberate. My hands were slick with sweat as I struggled to stay on the road. The world around me was silent, as if even the insects had fled. My car jolted as I miscalculated and ran over something, a pothole, maybe. But I didn't dare stop. I slammed the gas and sped backward until I could turn around. I didn't look back. I took an alternate route, avoiding every turn that would lead me back to that stretch of highway. My heart finally slowed as familiar signs appeared. Gas stations, a late-night diner, civilization. I exhaled sharply, laughing nervously at myself. Just my mind playing tricks. Just exhaustion. I was fine. At least that's what I thought. Until I stopped at a red light and saw my passenger mirror. He was in my back seat. I couldn't breathe. My hands shook as I gripped the wheel. He sat there, still as a statue, hood obscuring his face. I wanted to run, scream, do anything, but I was frozen, trapped in my own body. I didn't move. A low whisper filled the car, slithering into my ears like an infection. Keep driving, I obeyed. The roads blurred. My mind screamed at me to do something, swerve, jump out, anything, but I couldn't. I drove aimlessly, cold terror pressing against my chest. My reflection in the rearview mirror looked pale, barely human. Then he leaned forward. His breath was ice on my neck. Wrong turn. The engine sputtered. The car jerked violently. Headlights flickered. The world around me twisted, streetlights stretching unnaturally, the road ahead swallowing all light. My stomach lurched as the car plunged into darkness. No stars, no moon, just endless black. I slammed the brakes, but the car kept moving. Faster now, the speedometer climbing despite my foot pressing hard against the pedal. My fingers dug into the wheel as the whispering returned, louder, overlapping voices that weren't mine. A deep, guttural laugh vibrated through my chest. Then the car stopped. The silence was suffocating. I turned slowly, trembling, and for the first time, I saw his face. It wasn't a face at all. Just a void, an absence of anything human, stretching and shifting like smoke. And then it opened its mouth, or what should have been a mouth. The scream that came wasn't mine. It was everyone's. 1,000 voices shrieking in agony, pouring into me like a flood. My body convulsed, my vision blurred, and then, nothing. I woke up in my parked car, just outside my apartment. The sky was soft with the first hints of dawn. My hands still trembled as I reached for the door handle, half expecting it to be locked, trapping me inside. But it opened. I stumbled out, gasping for air like I'd been drowning. My car was fine. No dents, no signs of the nightmare I had just endured, except for the hoodie in my back seat. A dark, crumpled hoodie that wasn't mine. I haven't driven at night since.